Preview.
Did you have a good sleep? Dale said he's got your bullseye ready at the range. Thanks for staying up with Jack last night. Oh, I didn't think he'd ever get to sleep. Maybe he had another fever. Or maybe he just wanted to spend more time with his daddy.
After fighting your way across England, trying to hold back the Chimeran invasion and resistance Fall of Man, to then resuming your role as Nathan Hale and warring your way across the United States in Resistance 2, you would be forgiven for thinking that starting out Resistance 3 in Oklahoma seems a bit austere. The year is 1957, and the United States has been lost to the Chimeran occupation. You play as Joseph Capelli, dishonorably discharged after giving up the fight against the Chimera in order to scratch out a humble existence, living with his wife and child and hiding out with other survivors. However, when a doctor arrives with the promise of being able to deliver a decisive blow against the Chimeran occupation, Capelli begins a harrowing journey across the bleak American landscape. His destination? New York City. The action in the game kicks off when the human resistance, hiding out in the tunnels beneath the aptly named Haven, Oklahoma, fall prey to a routine patrol by the Chimera. Winning the skirmish and having bloodied the Chimera's nose, the conflict in Oklahoma seems all but primed for further escalation. Sure enough, Capelli discovers that the local Chimeran forces are in possession of a terraformer, a massive weapon that could completely eradicate the underground resistance, forcing an evacuation of the town. From there, all hell breaks loose as Capelli finds himself underfoot of the massive Chimeran Goliath, the spearhead of a combat force that Joseph must now defend his home against. The gameplay of Resistance 3 is a bit of a mashup of the tightly focused action of Resistance Fall of Man and the massive scale warfare of Resistance 2. Arguably, the most striking throwback is the return of the health bar. Most modern shooters, including Resistance 2, have dropped this gaming relic in favor of regenerating health, but the return here brings an immediacy and a desperate intensity to Resistance 3's combat. Thankfully, the weapon wheel of the first game also makes a return here, which allows for some snappy on-the-fly weapon changes, key to surviving some of the game's massive boss battles. Oh, did we mention those yet? 'Cause they're back too. Early on, we encountered a massive chimera called the Brawler, easily as tall as a double-decker bus, and a whole lot meaner. And we have a feeling that the Brawler is just a runt compared to what awaits Capelli in New York. In terms of guns, there's a returning roster of old standbys like the Bullseye, the Magnum, the Rossmore, the Carbine, and the Marksman. Rounding out the rest of the arsenal are some new tools for the player, representing both innovations in Chimeran tech, as well as makeshift weapons of the human resistance. One gun we saw was called the Deadeye, a Chimeran sniper rifle reminiscent of the L-23 Far-Eye, but with a powerful secondary fire option. Frag grenades have taken on a considerably MacGyvered look to them, being fashioned by the human resistance out of food cans, now filled with nails and an explosive compound. That works for us. This first chapter of Resistance 3 makes an excellent impression, setting the stage for a desperate fight for humanity's continued survival. The visuals of Resistance 3 look impressive as well, from the bleak cornfields of America's Midwest to the snarling visage of the new Chimeran forces. Resistance 3 is planned for release on the PlayStation 3 later this year, on September 6th.